Okay, so we come now to our next lesson, factoring polynomials. So we'll start with factoring polynomials with common factors. So factoring is the process of writing a polynomial as a product. Okay, so when we factor a polynomial, or when we are asked to factor a polynomial, we could assume, or we can assume, that we are looking for factors with integer coefficients. So if a polynomial cannot be factored using integer coefficients, then it is called a prime or irreducible over integers. It's a prime polynomial or irreducible over integers. So for instance, we have this x squared minus 3. So this cannot be factored out anymore with integer coefficients and constants. So, atong i-contrast na. Suppose we have x squared minus 9. So for x squared minus 9, this is a factor, this is the product of x plus 3 and x minus 3. So therefore, the factor of this, okay, if you want to write this in it by as its product, it is the product of x plus 3 and x minus 3. So the factors contains integers. But this example, x squared minus 3, is an example of a prime or irreducible over integer polynomial. Okay, because if we follow that special product a squared minus b squared, which is equal to a plus b, a minus b, then this should be this is x. If we square this, that would be x squared, and if we square this, that would be 3. Okay, so meaning we reduce the resulting factor of this is a factor that contains a non-integer factor, a non-integer constant or coefficient. So in this case, kaning square root of 3 and square root of 3, or positive square root of 3 and negative square root of 3. Okay, it's no longer an integer. So generally, or our general rule is, if we completely factor a polynomial, then the factor should be prime. Okay, so for instance, we have this x cubed minus x squared plus 4x minus 4. So let's not deal with how we factor this at this time, but let's just right away look at the factor. So the factor of this polynomial is x minus 1 and x squared plus 4. So this particular polynomial cannot be factored out anymore. Okay, but if we have this polynomial, so the factor of this polynomial is this. But if you look at this particular factor, this can still be factored out. So this is not completely factored, or it's not completely factored yet. So you can further factor this into x plus 2 and x minus 2. So the complete factorization of this particular polynomial is x plus 1 and the factor of this, which is x plus 2 and x minus 2. So later we will discuss how we do the factoring. Okay, let's proceed. So the simplest type of factoring involves a polynomial that can be written as a product of a monomial, meaning one term, and another polynomial. So this technique is just the reverse of the distributive property. Okay, the distributive property is a times b plus c. That would be equal to ab. You distribute this, ab plus ac. Okay, so the reverse of this is we factor out the common factor. So the common factor of AB and AC, or yung common, meaning parehong factor of the two terms, is A. So we take out A, and what remains is B plus C. Parang ganito. We take out A here, what remains is B. We take out C here, what remains is C. Sorry, we take out A here, what remains is C. Sorry. So the reverse of the distributive property is factoring out. Okay. or factoring out a monomial. So let's try one problem. First problem for this. Actually lost count of how many problems we have now. Anyway, problem na lang. So we'll have this problem. Factor each expression x cubed minus 4x for letter A. Okay, how do we factor this? So what are the common factors of this polynomial? Let's answer letter A. 6x cubed minus 4x. Okay, how do we do this? First, let us look at the common factors of this polynomial. So, step by step na lang natin, isa-isa natin. The factor of 6 is 3 and 2. That's 3 times 2. And x cubed is tatlong x multiplied. So, x times x times x minus the factor of 4 is 2 times 2. And we have 1x, may isang x. So, dito, the common factors of these two terms are 2. Oh, sorry. Isa lang yung 2 dito, meron itong dalawa. So, common yung 2 at common yung x. Meron din siyang x dito. Okay? So, meaning the common factor is 2x. May 2x po dire. May 2x din dito. Okay? So, if we take out this 2x, take that out, 2x, what remains sa first term, tinanggal natin yung 2x, is 3x squared. And what remains in the second term, we factored out 2 and x, 2 na lang yung na-remain. Okay? Sorry. I should have, okay, ganyan. So this is now the factor of this polynomial. Okay, for letter B. So for letter B, we have negative 4x squared plus 12x minus 16. Okay, remember, we cannot factor out x, or if you look at this particular expression, we cannot factor out x because at the last term, there's no x. It's not common to all terms. It's only common to the first two terms. But wala may x dito, o walang x dito, we cannot factor out x. But, if we look at the coefficients, may common factor tayo. Actually, all coefficients is divisible by 4. Okay? So, pwede natin sabihin na we could factor out, pwede nating ilabas si negative 4. Pwede din si 4 lang. So, let's say we factor out 4 na lang para common. Ito siya, coefficient is 4. The factor of 12 is 3 times 4. So, merong 4 dito. The factor of 16 is 4 times 4. So, if we factor out positive 4 lang muna. If we factor out positive 4, so ang naiwan dito is ang negative x squared na lang. Yung naiwan dito, kasi diba, this is 3 times 4 times x. You factored out 4, so yung 3x na lang naiwan. And here naman, since this is 4 times 4, you factored out isang 4, so meron ka pang 4, so negative 4. So, this could be an answer. The other answer is if you factor out negative 4. If you factor out negative 4, ang mag-iiwan dito is just x squared. And here, what negative factors of 12 will result to positive 12? Pwedeng negative 3 and negative 4. So, if factor out negative 4, negative 3 yung naiwan. Negative 3 and x. And dito, what factor of 16, or how about negative 16 na pwede nating, negative 16 na lang, we'll look at negative 16. So, the factor of negative 16 is negative 4, The factors of negative 16 is negative 4 and 4. So if you factor out 4, meron pang positive 4 na naiwan. So pwedeng plus 4. So this is another answer. Now, pwede din naman, this is, if this is still factorable, then you can factor this out further. Okay? But we'll not discuss that yet. Ito lang muna tayo. Ang common factor lang muna. I think this still, it's not factorable anymore, I think. 4 factors of 4. Pwede. Yeah. Pwede pa itong ma-factor. Okay? But we will deal with that later. For letter C. For letter C, we have x minus 2 times 2x plus x minus 2 times 3. So obviously, we have two terms, this and this. Okay, mag-separate with the plus operation. Okay, so if you look at the two terms, the common factor is x minus 2. So if we take out x minus 2, what remains here is just 2x, and what remains here is just 3 plus 3. Sorry. Then that is the factor. Ayusin natin, x minus 2, 2x plus 3. So this is the answer. Ganun lang siya kadali. Okay? So let's have the next properties. Okay, this is what we call factoring special polynomial forms. So what are these special polynomial forms? Okay, if we let a and b be variables, constants, or algebraic expressions. Okay, so the first form is a squared minus b squared. So a squared minus b squared is a special product. Kanina I've already mentioned that. This is the special product of a plus b and a minus b. So the product of two conjugate terms, conjugate meaning nagka baliktad or nagka-inverse yung sign or operation. The product of this is in this form. You just square the first term minus the square of the second term. Okay? So that is the first special product. Next is the product of the square of a monomial. Of a binomial. So this, if we have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, the factor of this is a plus b squared, or a plus b times a plus b. Okay? I think sa previous lesson, pabaliktad yung natin. Pabaliktad yung na-discuss. Okay? Now, if it is in this form, or it is in the form a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, this is now the product of a minus b and a minus b, or this is a minus b squared. Okay? Now, for mga cube naman, third degree, if we have a cube plus b cube, so the factor of this, pwedeng i-memorize nyo na lang, the factor of this is a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So you can memorize that. So whatever is the sign here, yun yung sign dito, then opposite of this sign. Then if we have a cube minus b cube, that would be a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. Okay? And remember, this is not the same as this. Baka you will be tempted to further factor this out into this. Di pwede kasi ito may 2, ito walang 2 na coefficient. So hindi siya pwede. Okay. Okay. So let's have some examples. How about this one? Okay. And so let's take this problem. Okay, how about if we name our problem, since this is lesson, I think this is lesson 5. So I'll just write here a uh, problem for lesson 5, first problem. Ganun na lang. So eto, problem for lesson 5, second problem. Okay, for this problem, we need to remove the common factor first. So yun yung pinapagawa. So factoring out, yeah, yan. You need to factor this out. So actually ginawa na niya, i-factor out na niya yung yung common factor. So let's just take a look at this factor, 1 minus 4x squared. So if you notice, 1 is a perfect square, right? Because 1 is the square of 1 minus 4x squared. 4x squared is also a perfect square because 4x squared is the square of 2x. If you square 2x, the result is 4x squared. Okay? Okay? Lagay natin dito ha. That would be 3 times, let me write it this way, 1 squared minus 2x squared. Now, this is in the form, or this is now corresponds to the form a squared minus b squared, where a is 1 and b is 2x. Okay. So therefore, if this is a squared minus b squared, the factor of this is a minus, or is a conjugate factors, a minus b and a plus b. So if a is 1 and b is 2x, then we could rewrite this as 1 minus 2x and 1 plus 2x. So this is the complete factorization of this particular problem. Madali lang. So hashtag easy. Okay. Next problem. Okay, how about this? Factoring the difference of two squares. For letter A, we have x plus 2 squared minus y squared. Again, this is in the form a squared minus b squared, where in our a is x plus 2 and our b is y. So since a squared minus b squared, the factor of, a squared minus b squared, the factor of this is the conjugate factors, conjugate binomials, a plus b. Ayan. So therefore, the factor of this is simply, let's use bracket, x plus 2 minus y and x plus 2 plus y. And it's that simple. It's done. How about letter B? How do we answer letter B? If we look at letter B, this is already a perfect square, right? Because this is the square of 4x squared. If we square that, the result is this. Okay? So, isulat natin para maklaro. So, kanisya, we could rewrite this as 4x squared squared. And 81 could be rewritten as 9 squared. Okay? Okay? So, therefore, in this form, we have a squared minus b squared also, where a is 4x squared and b is 9. Okay? So, again, since we have the form a squared minus b squared equal to a minus b, or a plus b times a minus b. Anyway, pwede siya magkano? Pwede siya mag-interchange. So, a squared minus b squared is equal to a plus b and a minus b. Doesn't matter kung mag-interchange. Therefore, we could factor this out as 4x squared minus 9 times 4x squared plus 9. Parenthesis na lang tayo both. So, ganun lang siya kadali. But wait, there's more. Di pa siya tapos. Eto siya, this is still, 4x squared is still a perfect square. Right? That is the square of 2x. And 9 is also a perfect square. That is the square of 3. Okay, so therefore, kani siya, this is still in the form a squared minus b squared. This one is not anymore because this would be a squared plus b squared. We don't have a factor for this, or we cannot factor this out anymore. So looking at this, we could factor this further as 2x plus 3 times 2x minus 3. Okay, because this is a perfect square, 9 is the square of 3, and 4x squared is the square of 2x. So we'll have 2x minus 3, 2x plus 3. This is the factor of this, times 4x squared plus 9. So this is now the complete factorization of this polynomial, of that polynomial. Okay, so again, it's hashtag easy. That's it. So let's try another one. Let's try this one. Okay, let us apply perfect square trinomials. Yung kanina pa rin, this. Let us apply this one. These are perfect square trinomial. Dagdagan natin because that is just a plus b squared, and eto siya is a minus b squared, a minus b squared. Okay, for a reference, let me just write the rule here. So it says that the factor of a squared plus 2ab plus b squared is a plus b times a plus b, or a plus b squared. And the factor of a squared plus 2ab, sorry, wrong, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared is the square of a minus b. Okay. By the way, this is now problem 5-3. Problem 5-3. Okay, let's try to factor letter A. For letter A, we have x squared minus 10x plus 25. Okay. Now, if this is a perfect square trinomial, we could test. 25 is a perfect square as well as x squared is a perfect square. Now, if we compare, or no, yeah, if we test the first and the second and the last term to the middle term, okay, if it would correspond to this form, then it is factorable by perfect, or it is a perfect square trinomial. Okay, now let's write our a here. Now our a here is, isin natin ha, is 1, and our b here is 5, because once x, this should be x. A here is x and b here is 5. So if we square a, that would be x squared. If we square b, that would be 25. Okay, then if we look at 2ab, would that be 10x? So let's take a look. 2ab, that would be 2 times a times b, and that is precisely 10x. So therefore, this is a perfect square trinomial. That is one way of looking at that. So kung masanay na kayo, mas mabilis na. Isang tingin na lang yan. Hindi na masyado complicated. Okay? So therefore, this is factorable into x plus 5 squared. How about letter B? For letter B, you have 16x squared plus 24x plus 9. So in this problem, ano yung a natin? Ang a squared is 16x squared. Ang a squared is 16x squared. So therefore, ang a natin is 4x. Diba? If you square this, the result is 16x squared. And our b here is 3 because the square of 3 is 9. Okay, so let's look at the middle term. It should be 2ab. So that would be 2 times a times b. Okay, so 4 times 3 is 12 times 2, 24. So it's 24x. So that is a perfect square trinomial. So therefore, the factor of this is just 4x plus 3 squared, or 4x plus 3 times 4x plus 3. Okay. Another way of looking at this, if this is a perfect square trinomial, is by looking at the middle term right away. Look at the middle term. So how would we relate the middle term to the last term? Okay. Okay. You look at the middle coefficient, negative 10. If the last term is equal to the middle coefficient, let's call them, if the coefficients here are a, b, and c, so that is under quadratic equation, we could discuss that. I will discuss that in another time. So if the coefficients here are constants a, constant the b, and constant the c, c should be, wait, c should be equal to the square of half of b. Okay, c should be equal to the square of half of b. So if c is equal to the square of half of b, then that is a perfect square trinomial. Okay, what's the half of 10? It's 5. 5 squared is 25. So therefore, this is a perfect square trinomial. That is x minus 5 squared. Uy, mama dito, that would be x minus 5. Minus pala yung sign. Okay, how about here? In this case naman, the leading coefficient kasi, that test is true if the leading coefficient is 1. Now, here, the leading coefficient is 16. So, ang pwede natin gawin for the leading coefficient to be 1, we divide all terms by 16. So, we could do it like this. Divide all terms by 16. So, 16x squared divided by 16 is x squared. And 24x divided by 16, that would be 24x over 16. And 9x divided by 16, that would be 9 over 16. Okay, now, the leading coefficient is now 1, so we could apply yung ginawa natin dito na x squared, ano na yan? The half of this squared. So, c should be half of the middle coefficient and square. Okay, so let's try to take a look. Let us express this first into its simplest form. So, take a look at 24 over 16. Pwede pa siyang masimplify. So, 24 is 8 times 3 and 16 is 8 times 2. So, you could cancel out 8 here. So, we'll have x squared plus, this is 3 halves na lang, x or 3x over 2 plus, kanisya, we cannot reduce this to lowest term anymore because the factor of 9 is 3 times 3. The factor of 16 is 4 times 4. There's no common factor. So, nothing to cancel out. So, it's still 9 over 16. Now, take a look at, again, sa ito na form, the constant should be half of the middle coefficient squared. Okay? So, what is the half of this? The half of 3 over 2, the half of that, so meaning we multiply that by 1/2, that would be 3/4. And what is the square of 3/4? The square of 3/4 is 3 squared, that's 9, and 4 squared, that's 16. So it's 9 over 16. So therefore, this is a perfect square trinomial. So the factor of this is x plus the half of this, which is 3/4 squared. Okay? If you multiply all terms here by 4, this would be 4x plus 3 squared. So that is the same as our answer here, 4x plus 3 squared. So, kanisha, this one and this one are just the same. Okay. Okay, for our next problem, let's try this one. Factoring the difference of cubes. So, we're done with squares, so cubes naman. So, let's call this problem 5 dash, so 3, 4. Problem 5 dash 4. So, we need to factor out x cubed minus 27. So, for this particular problem, let us recall that the factor of a cubed minus b cubed is equal to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. That is this property. Okay? So you need to memorize this. Okay? So looking at the problem, it follows that a is equal to x. Okay, sulat na lang natin dito. It means here that a is x and b is 27 is actually 3 cubed. So b, if this is b cubed, this is 3. Because this is in the form a cubed minus b cubed. So a is x, b is 3. Okay? So following this factorization, we say that x cubed minus, let's rewrite this as 3 cubed, is just equal to a minus b. A minus b, which is x minus 3 times a squared, so that's x squared, plus ab, so plus ab plus b squared. So 3 squared is 9. So this is the complete factorization of this particular problem. That's for problem 5-4. Let us continue to problem, this one. How about for the sum of cubes? Factoring the sum of cubes. So for the sum of cubes, let's call this problem 5-5. Okay. Recalling the formula, or recalling the factorization, we have a cube plus b cube equals a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. Okay, and that is actually this na you need to memorize. A cube plus b cube is equal to a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. Okay, let's continue. So for letter A, we say that our if this is a cube, therefore a is y. If this is b cube, therefore b is 2, because 2 cube is equal to 8. 2 times 2 times 2. Hence, let me write it here. A is y and b is 2. So following this factorization, therefore the answer for this is y plus 2 times y squared minus 2y plus 4. So this is now the complete factorization. Very easy. Okay. So for letter B, we have this. Now may factor sa labas na 3. So let us just copy 3. And actually, how do we factor this out? So x cubed is just x cubed plus, how about 64? 64 is, I think it's 4 cubed, right? Because 4 times 4 is 16 times 4, 64. So plus 4 cubed. Okay, that's it. So that would be equal to 3 times this factorization, or the factor of this. So just follow this factorization. That would be a, our a is x plus b, so our b is 4, times a squared minus ab, so 4x plus b squared, or 4 squared, so 16. So this is now the perfect or the complete factorization. Okay, so for this particular problem, again, it's quite simple pa. So hashtag very easy. Okay. Okay, this time we'll proceed to this topic. Trinomials with binomial factors. Okay, for this particular topic, bakit natin siya sineparate? Okay, there are polynomials, of course, that doesn't contain a common factor like the first method that we discussed. So it doesn't contain a common factor, so we cannot remove that out, and it does not conform to any of these special polynomial forms. So it's not in this form, which is a special product of a plus b and a minus b. It's not a perfect square trinomial like this, which is the square of a and b, or a perfect square trinomial like this, which is the square of a minus b. And it's also not in this form and in this form. So there are some trinomials that are just product of two unequal binomials. Okay, and I think you are familiar with the rule FOIL. Okay, if you have a binomial, if you multiply two binomials, the result is a trinomial, right? We do the process by FOIL. So in this particular case, we'll be using the process of FOIL in order to get the factor of a trinomial, or the binomial factor of a trinomial. Okay, so if we consider this trinomial ax squared plus bx plus c, so this time a, b, and c are constants, where sorry where a, b, and c are constants, or to be specific, this should be integers because we're dealing with integers. Okay, so this is a product, or this particular trinomial, meaning tulo siya na term, diba? Trinomial is a product of two binomials, diba? Na atong gi-applyan og FOIL. So let me copy this na lang. So this is actually the result of two binomials we don't know that we apply, or that we multiplied. Okay, and usually the process that we do is FOIL, diba? Or first, outside, inside, and last. So this is the process. So because of this process FOIL, that resulted to this this trinomial. Here's an example using FOIL. For example, if you have x plus 3 multiplied by x minus 2. Okay, so using this the FOIL process, you just multiply the first terms first. So f first, x times x, that's x squared, plus you multiply the outside terms, which are x and negative 2. So x times negative 2, that's negative 2x. Okay, so minus 2x. Then next is inside. So the inside terms are these. So 3 times x, that's 3x. And the last is this. The last terms is this and this. Sorry, that's what I mean. So 3 times negative 2, which is negative 6. So the resulting trinomial is just x squared, and we combine this because they are like terms. Negative 2x plus 3x, the result is just x. So plus x minus 6. Okay, so how do we reverse the process? So from here, how do we revert it back to there? So we'll also consider this process, kanang FOIL process gihapon. Remember that kani pwede nato ni siya dahil ma-determine because ang first term sa resulting trinomial is just the product of the first terms of the two binomial. And the last term of the resulting trinomial is just the product of the last terms of the two binomials. So, pwede natin gamitin yun as our guide. Okay? And the middle term is just a combination of the outside terms and the inside, or the inner, or the inside terms. Okay? Or the outside terms, sorry, this and this. Okay? The outside and the inside. Okay? I think let's just take this example or this problem to show or to illustrate how do we reverse this process. Okay. By the way, if you practice this these problems dire, I think you will be it will be more faster ang pag-solve ninyo ani. So this is problem 5-6. So let us consider this trinomial x squared minus 7x plus 12. So how do we factor this out? So this is for factoring a trinomial with leading coefficients equal to 1. So how do we factor this out? Okay, again, let us recall the FOIL process. FOIL. Okay, so we know that the first term is the result of f, or multiplying the first terms. So since we have x squared, therefore the two first terms of the two binomials are both x. Okay, so therefore that would be x times x, because if you multiply the first terms, x times x, that would be this first term, and the last term is this 12. If you multiply the last terms, which is whatever is this value and this value here, you multiply that, the result is 12. But there are different factors of 12, or there are different combinations that will result to 12. Let's look at the factors of 12. So the factors of 12 are, this could be 3 times 4, pwedeng 2 times 6, pwedeng 12 times 1, diba? Pwede din negative 3 times negative 4, negative 2 times negative 6, pwede rin negative 12 times negative 1. All these combinations results to 12, or these are the factors or possible factors of 12. So, in order to determine what would be the exact values here, we need to compare it with the middle term. Remember that the middle term is the result of the outside and the inside. Okay, the outside and the inside. So, to make that shorter, we just need to get this combination. Remember, nag-plus tayo dito, di ba? Ito, yung outside at yung inside, we added it, we combined it, that resulted to this. So therefore, we'll try to look at these combinations that will result, or if we combine or we add the two factors, the result is negative 7. So which one is that? So of course this, because negative 3 times negative 4 is negative 7. So therefore, this is negative 3 and negative 4. So this is now the factor of this trinomial. Okay, so if you check that, you can use FOIL again. So x times x first, x squared, plus, next is outside, x times negative 4. So that would be, so it should be negative 4. Then inside, negative 3 times x, that would be negative 3x. Oh, sorry, may x pa dito. Oh, sorry ha, ulit. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. Negative 3 times x, negative 3x. And negative 3 times negative 4, positive 12. Okay, so that would be x squared minus 7x plus 12. Okay, that's it. Next. we use similar concept for factoring trinomials with, with leading coefficient not equal to 1. Okay? Yan. So about if we need to factor this out, 2x squared plus x minus 15. How do we do that? Okay. Ako na rin sasagot. So again, ang first term is the product of the first terms of the binomial or the binomial factors. So therefore, pwede nating sulat dito na ano ba yung pwedeng product nito. That would be 2x and x, diba? 2x times x is 2x squared. So pwedeng 2x yung isa, the other one is x. Ganon. Okay. Then how about 15 or negative 15? Yung negative 15 is again the product of the last terms of FOIL, the last terms. So, meaning, ang terms dito should be a factor of 15. So, let us list the factors of 15. So, 15 is 3, 3 and 5. So, negative man siya. So, 3 and negative 5 or negative 3 and 5. What else? Pwede yun na. Yun lang. Pwede din 15. Sige, 15 and 1. 15 and negative 1 and negative 15 and 1. Pwede ganun. Okay? Okay. Now, remember na we need to consider outside and inside, meaning outside ito, kasali na to. Then inside. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin, lagyan natin combination. Kung n ba, as for example ito yung combination 3 and negative 5. So, meaning we need to multiply 2 here. Right? And we need to multiply this inside na to this. So the result or the sum of that product, of those products should be this, x. So we just need to check kung ano. So let's try this one. So what if this is our combination? So that would be 3 times or plus, okay? So 2x man siya, diba? So that would be 2 times negative 5. Okay, what would be the result if we add this up? If we add that up. So that would be negative 10, 3, so negative 7 to siya. So di pwede. Kasi dito is 1 man dapat. Okay, how about here? If negative 3, ito siya dito. Plus, ito siya ang 2 times 5. The answer is 7. Okay? So, di rin pwede. Okay, so how about this? 15 siya dito, plus twice of negative 1. So, the result is 12. And kung negative 15 siya dito, plus twice of positive 1, the result is negative 12. So, wala pa rin. Pero remember na pwede din magkabaliktad to siya. 'Di ba? So, i-reverse natin siya. Ibaliktad natin to. Meaning, so masyadong mahabang solution, no? Negative 5 dito and 3. So, dito 5. What I mean is, ito, yung 5, yung negative 5 dito, tsaka yung 3 dito. Remember, magkaiba sila ng leading or ng first term. So, pwedeng 2x plus 3, x minus 5. So, kung i-reverse natin or ibalik na rin natin to siya, pwedeng 2x minus 5, x plus 3. So, magkaiba na siya. So, pwedeng ito naman, itong combination naman na i-try. Okay, let's try this combination. So, first, ito, this one. That would be negative 5 plus twice of 3. What will be the result? That's negative 1. Okay. And how about this combination? That would be 5 plus 2 times negative 3, which is Ay, sorry. This should be, uy, tapos na pala. Ito na yun. This is positive 1. Positive 1, ito negative 1. So, meaning, ito na yung combination natin. Ayan. So, let's not continue with the reverse of this kasi nakita na naman natin. So, yun na siya yung 1. Ito na siya dito. So, therefore, negative 5 and plus 3 dito. So, you can check that by using FOIL. You can check the answer. Anyway, dito, this is just step by step, kaya medyo mahina or dragging yung discussion natin. But, kung sige ng practice, if we keep on practicing, keep on doing this, siguro, mas madali na yung process nito. Okay? This will be so much easier. Okay? So, that's it. So, you just, basically, it's just trial and error. Trial and error. Pero, there's one way of doing this, or other techniques of doing this. Pwede tayong gumamit ng factoring by grouping. Okay? So, I'll show you what is factoring by grouping. Okay, dito na lang. So, how about this one? Ito. This is, so 7 na to. This is problem 5-7, and this is problem 5-8. Problem 5-8. So, factoring by grouping. Use factoring by grouping to factor x cubed minus 2x squared minus 3x plus 6. Okay, how do we factor this by grouping? Ito siya, medyo madali lang because just by looking at this, we could group these two. Ito. Okay, parang obvious na yung mga pwedeng groupings niya. Okay, because the first two terms, may common factor siya, which is x squared. Diba? Okay, sige. I-group natin yung first two terms. So, that would be x cubed minus 2x squared. Minus, i-group natin yung second term. Okay? Kung i-group natin yung second term, that would be, or ganito na lang, that would be plus 3x, okay, plus negative 3x plus 6. Okay, so na-group natin. We group this, then we group this. Okay, kung idugtong natin to siya, syempre, mawala lang yung plus, magpe-prevail yung negative sign, yung negative na operation. Okay, for the first group, may common factor tayo. The common factor is x squared. So we could take out x squared, factoring like the first example that we discussed kanina. So if you factor out x squared, what remains inside the parentheses is x and 2. Diba? You factor out x squared here, ang may iwan is x. If you factor out x squared here, may iwan yung 2. Sorry. Bulol. Plus, how about here? Eto, we could factor out negative 3, right? We could factor out negative 3. So, if I take out negative 3, what remains here is positive x. Then, if I take out negative 3 here, remember, 6 could be factored out as, or positive 6 could be factored out as negative 3 times negative 2. Kasi positive siya, so dapat negative. So, if I take out this, negative 3, may iwan is negative 2. So, minus negative 2. Okay. Now, sige, i-rewrite natin x squared, x minus 2, minus 3, x minus 2. Now, if you notice now, dito, common na itong factors. We have two terms, this, and common term, yung x minus 2. So, we could factor out again x minus 2. So, if you factor out x minus 2, here, ito na lang may iwan, x squared. If you factor out x minus 2 here, ito na lang may iwan, minus 3. So that is now the complete factorization of this trinomial. Oh no, it's not a trinomial, of this polynomial. Okay, so that is factoring by grouping. So you just need to group the terms into into groups, syempre. Ano pa ba? So, next, eto. How about if it's a trinomial? Madali lang kasi i-group ang third degree polynomial because there are 4 terms. There are 4 terms. So, i-group mo siya. But if it's a trinomial, eto, how would you group that? Okay? Tatlo lang. Eto. Okay? So, we have 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Yan. Ang tricky dito is, again, we need you to use trial and error. Pero if I have to solve for this, I think I would remember sa FOIL kasi, di ba? If we do FOIL, we started at this form, di ba? Na there are two middle terms na kabuwag niya atong gi-combine, eto na siya. So, yun yung gamitin natin dito na principle. So, eto siya. How about if we separate this into two groups niya? And, yung group na yun, two terms, then yung terms na yun should be related to this. Okay? So, meaning, I need to have also 3. Diba? I need to have 3x here para may ma-factor out ako dito. Okay? What I mean is this. 2x squared. So, kung mag-factor out na tayo ng 2 o ng 3, or we need to separate 3, yung 5x is actually 2x plus 3x. Right? 2x plus 3x is 5x. So, I could rewrite 5x as 2x plus 3x, then minus 3. Okay? So, eto, we already have 4 terms, and I could proceed to grouping. So, I could group this out, and I could group this. So, ito na lang. So, we have 2x squared plus 2x, isang group, plus 3x minus 3, another group. Okay? So, from the first group, I could factor out 2x, common. So, if I factor out 2x, what will remain here? So, tinanggal ko yung 2 at saka yung isang x. So, meron pang isang x. Plus, if I factor this out, tinanggal ko yung 2x. Ito na siya. 1 na lang yung may iwan. 1 na lang may iwan. Because 2x times 1 is still 2x. Okay? Plus, dito, the common factor is 3. Right? So, I could take out 3. And if I take out 3 here, ma-retain yung x, and if I take out 3 here, ma-retain ang negative 1. Uy, negative 1. Okay, again, sabi ko nga try and error. So, we cannot proceed with this kasi wala na siyang common, no? Di naman siya pareho. So, di pwede. Uy. So, di siya pwede. So, how about if we use other form for 5x? Anong pwede natin gamitin? Try and error lang tayo. So, another form of this is, so, ang gagawin ko is, I'll just recolor this. Anyway, trial and error naman siya. I'll just recolor this. So, di siya pwede. So, sabihin ko na lang dito, cannot be. So, cannot be. Okay. Let's look for another form of 5x. How about if we use, 5. How about if we use 6 and negative 1? Diba? 2x squared plus 6x minus x, that's 5x, minus 3. I think that's convenient because, remember, ito kasi, may common siya dito. Then, ito kahit wala tayong factor out. Okay. So, let's try that. Okay. So, 2x squared plus 6x is one group. I-minus natin or i-plus. Sige. Ito lang muna. Plus negative x minus 3. Another group. So, what are the common terms for the first group? Common factors, Yung common sa first group is 2x. So, if I factor out 2x, may naiwan pang x, and, ayan, I think this is now correct. If we factor out 2x, so 6 is 2 times 3. x. So if I factor out 2x, na-retain pa si 3. So plus 3. And here naman, I could take out negative 1 para yung negative sign ilabas. So that would be minus, I took out negative 1 minus, so this will become positive x and positive 3. Right? Right? So if you notice, pareho na siya. Common na siya dito. So I could take this as one term and another term. Then common factors for each term is this. So I could take out again x plus 3. So if I take out x plus 3 here, what remains is 2x. And if I take out minus, if I take out x plus 3 here, what remains is 1. So this is now the answer. Ayan. So medyo challenging na siya. Okay. So that is factoring trinomial by grouping. Okay, let's just call this problem 5.9. Dami na palang na-answeran. Problem 5.9. Okay. Okay, let's try to solve problems from the exercises para mabawasan yung solve nyo. So I think here, let's try from exercises 23 to 32. Completely factor the difference of two squares. So let us look for, okay, let's try number 25. For number 25, ano sabi dito? Ito yung kailangan natin i-factor out. So this is a second degree polynomial. So meaning dalawa lang yung factor nito. Okay? So first, this is not a perfect square. This is also not perfect square. Okay? Pero we could observe na meron siyang common factor, right? Because 48, sige, yung 48 kasi, that is the factor niya, ang factor niya, ang factor niya is 2 times 24. Ang factor ng 24 is 3 times 8. Okay? So meaning, or pwede din 16 times 3. So this is 16 times 3. Dito, 27 is 3 times 9, di ba? So common yung 3. So we could factor out 3 here. Right? So if we take out, dito na nakakansira na. If we take out 3 here, we could rewrite this as 16y squared minus 9. Diba? That's the reverse of the distributive property. Common kasi yung 3 dito sa dalawa. Tinanggal natin. So, or nilabas natin. Okay? Anyway, 3 times 16 is 48. 3 times 9 is 27. Okay. So this time, you notice that 16y squared is actually a perfect square. That is the square of 4y. If you square that, that would be this. And 9 is also a perfect square. That is the square of 3. Okay? So if you recall again, a squared minus b squared is equal to the product of the conjugate. A plus b times a minus b. Therefore, the answer for this is just 4y plus 3 and 4y minus 3. Very easy. Yun lang. Napakadali. Okay. Let's try another one. How about this one? Sobrang dali na. Ito, madali na lang to because this is 5x squared and 4y squared. Sobrang dali. How about this? Number 30. For number 30, this is a squared. So, this is 5 squared. And naka-square na din siya. So, conjugate niya is just, or the product of the conjugate is just 5 plus, lagyan natin ng brackets. 5 plus z plus 5 times 5 minus z plus 5. So, again, we take this as one single group lang. So, one single entity lang siya na in square. So, ang a natin dito is 5 squared. Ang b natin dito is this 5 plus z plus 5, then squared. So, this is a plus b times a minus b. So, ganun siya kadali. So, let's browse. Again, factor the perfect square. Ito, perfect squared trinomial, medyo madali. Ito lang muna. Tapos na tayo dyan. number 33. For number 33, madali lang naman. What are the factors of 4 that will result to negative 4? I mean, if you add them, it will result to negative 4. Of course, it's negative 2 times negative 2, right? Negative 2 times negative 2, or negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4. This is actually a perfect square trinomial because the half of negative 4 is 2. If you square that, that would be 4. This one. Okay? So, madali lang to. The answer here is just x minus 2 squared. Ganun na siya dali. Okay. How about number 36 na lang para mas madali. Number 36. Ano yung pwedeng gawin natin dito na combination? Okay. So, eto. Ano pwede dito? Pwede tayong 3x times 3x, diba? So, yun yung medyo complicated dito kasi our combinations for the first term pa lang, meron tayong 3x and 3x, pwede ring 9x and 1 or x. Diba? So, we have two possible dito sa first term pa lang. Okay? So, ito, medyo trial and error na, maraming trial and error. Pero if I were to solve this, magka-calculator na lang ako. Sa calculator kasi, I just need to look for the value of x that will be equal, that will make this function equal to 0. Okay? But that's another topic. Medyo advanced na. So, dito lang tayo. If you do trial and error, ito yung combination nyo dito is 3x and 3x. Pero ako, since mas madali para sa akin ang pag-solve if the coefficient is 1, so yun yung pwede kong gawin. Gawin kong 1 na lang yung coefficient dito. So, I divide all terms by 9. So, you can do that. That's okay. You can do that. So, divide all coefficients by 9. That would be x squared minus 12 over 9 plus 4 over 9. Okay, I could rewrite this as x squared minus, so ito siya, may common factor dito na 3. This is 4 times 3 over 3 times 3. So, 4 thirds minus 4 thirds x plus 4 over 9. Tama ba? 4 over 9. Okay. Now, pwede na tayong pwede na tayong mag-factor out. What are the factors of these that will result to negative 4 thirds? Okay. Obviously, again, I think this is actually a perfect square trinomial from looking at the terms pa lang, or kahit ito pa lang, because the half of this is 2 thirds. You square that, that's 4 ninths. So, perfect square trinomial siya. But, let's say na lang, hindi natin na-recognize agad na perfect square trinomial siya. So, ano yung factor nito? We could factor this out as 2 over 3 times 2 over 3. Right? Okay? Right? Now, so times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9. Now, negative kasi it's a middle term. So, negative 2 thirds times negative 2 thirds. Pwede rin. The result is positive 4 ninths. If you add this up, the result is this. Right? Okay. 2 thirds, negative 2 thirds minus 2 thirds. So, common denominator is 3. Then you add the numerators, that's negative 4. That's exactly this. So, therefore, yung factor niya is x minus 2 thirds times x minus 2 thirds. So, pwedeng ganun. Or x minus 2 thirds squared. Or if you multiply all terms dito sa loob by 2, by 3, that would be 3x minus 2 squared. So, yun na yung sinabi ko kanina na combination. Yung first combination natin, diba? 3x times 3x or 9x times 1 times x, I mean. Ganon. So, ano pa pwede dito? Ito. Number 73 na lang. Ano yung pwedeng combination dito? Let's try to group this as 2x cubed minus x squared. Tapos, igrupo din natin yung negative, parenthesis ko na lang, ilabas ko yung 6, o i-minus ko dito. That's one way of answering this. So, 6x minus 3 na siya. Kung ganyan, kung nilabas ko kasi yung negative, so pag nilabas ko yung negative, eto, magiging negative siya dito, instead of positive, kasi if you reverse the process dun sa distributive property, this times this is negative 6x. Then, negative 1 or this times this is positive 3 na. So, you should be careful when factoring out negative numbers. Okay? Okay. So, sa first term, eto, the common factor there is x squared. Then, ang mabibilin or yung may iwan sa loob is just 2x and 1 minus the common here is 3. If I factor out 3, may iwan dito is 2x minus 1. Ayan. Then, I could factor out 2x minus 1. So, further, factoring out 2x minus 1, yung may iwan is x squared and minus 3. So, yun yung answer dito. Then, you just follow the procedure for all the others. So, dito, eto, again, trial and error na dito sa trinomial. Actually, mas madali yung dito kesa dito sa trinomial. So, let's try number 81. Yun lang, medyo challenging na naman siya. Okay, one way of determining paano natin to i-separate is yung principle ng FOIL. Ulit, remember that this is the result of this outside and in. And yung outside kasi, that is reflected dito. And yung in naman, inside, actually reflected din dito. Yung outside, outside is reflected dito at dito. So, dito kasi outside, so meaning nag-multiply tayo ng factor dito. Let's say, eto siya. This is 3x times 2x, right? Pwedeng ganun. And eto, pwedeng 2 times 1. So, I could say na baka merong 3x dito. So, that's one way of looking para alam natin how to trial and error. Again, trial and error naman to. So, if it will not work, you can try another one. That's one way of making the testing or the trial easier. Okay? So, sige. Let's try x squared plus, i-try ko yung 3x. Yung 3x, para maging x, I need to subtract 2x, then minus 2. So, I'll try this combination. So, if I combine that or group that, that would be 6x squared plus 3x minus here 2x, sorry, that would be 2x and plus 2 na siya. Okay? 2x plus 2. Okay. So, from here, I could factor out 3x, right? Common. Common yung 3x. Could factor that out. So, yung may iwan dito is 2. 2x. And plus 1. Okay. Minus dito. 2 yung factorable dito. So, that would be x plus 1. So, di siya pwede. Di tayo pwede. Sorry. Di siya pwede. So, let's try a different one. How about if I use minus 3 na lang? Minus 3x. So, para maging x siya, I need to add 4x. Because 3x plus 4x is x minus 2. So, I'll try this one. Baka kaya. So, I'll group x squared minus 3x plus I'll group 4x minus 2. Okay? Eto. Parang may magandang future to. So, wait, let me erase that. That would be, eto again, we could factor out 3x. So, 3x. So, yung may iwan is 3 minus 1. Plus, how about here, we could factor out 2. Ay, sorry. Dito, yung na-factor out natin, 2 yung may iwan. 2x, kasi 6x minus 1. So, dito rin, i-factor out natin yung 2. May iwan is 2x minus 1. So, ayan. So we could further factor out 2x minus 1. Yung may iwan is ito na lang, 3x plus 2 plus 2. So ito yung answer. Okay? So let us try to check. Mag-FOIL tayo. So outside, sorry, first, so 6x squared. Tapos outside, that's plus 4x. Tapos inside, minus 3x. Tapos last, minus 2. So 6x plus x minus 2, which is the same as the given. So that's it. So again, trial and error lang. Trial plus palaging error. Pero anyway, kung medyo sanay na kayo nito, or if you master this, the next thing we'll do is we'll try to do this using calculator na lang. Actually, kung medyo advanced ka na, pwede na itong i-calculator na lang. Finding the roots using calculators. Okay? And that's it for our lesson. This is about factoring polynomials. So I hope you'll answer as many as you can in these exercises para ma-master and medyo sharper na kayo. Okay? So see you again in the next lesson.